Hi folks, welcome back to our channel where we give you the tips and tricks for all your remodeling needs. I'm Joe Ferranti-Gennaro.
And I'm Delina.
And we're going to go over some subjects today kind of currently in the news. So what have you got a question about?
Okay, well, we were wondering, recently we had a hurricane come through.
Yeah.
And everybody was asking what should they be thinking about as this hurricane comes through as far as protecting their house or maybe their paperwork that they have, or what's the process to prepare for this if they are in a flood zone, and what happens if their house floods. Have you, when you were out this weekend or this past week to sites, did you see flooding or anything that was going on?
We had a lot of flooding in Tampa Bay area. So the things that I noticed are, you've got a storm coming and the news tells you there's potential for flooding. Kind of get your house a little bit ready in case that does happen if you're like on the water, because you never know where that storm surge is going to go and it might affect your house. We were just in a house that got flood damage, and I actually was going through people's paperwork that they had in boxes just on the floor, like a filing box, but they left it on the floor not thinking about the water coming in.
Right.
And so we're in there trying to move all their personal items, and a lot of their important paperwork was soaking wet, which is very hard to dry out. So I would say, get things off the floor that you think are could be damaged as much as possible.
Right.
You can't move everything. You can't move a lot of furniture if it's a short notice thing. But a lot of important paperwork, bedding, towels, and kind of stuff that is hard to dry out. You should get up out of the way. A lot of people put out sandbags, but I think sandbags, if done properly, will hold back a little bit of water, but most people don't put them in properly. They just pile them up against the door, and I think sandbags should have a large one piece of plastic put down and then buried in the ground, which most people don't do, is bury the end of the plastic in the ground and then put the sandbags up, and that will be effective as stopping a small amount of water. A big flood's not going to do anything with that.
When you were out at the site, how much water did you think?
We went to a job site, and that house had about 4 to 6 inches of water.
And there was quite a bit of damage.
Yes, everything's floating inside. You wonder, like when the homeowner asked me, all this stuff got knocked over. I can't imagine this storm was that bad inside my house. And I said, well, it all floated. It's hard to think, right?
Yeah,
oh, I didn't think all my things were floating, but
right.
Everything was laying over on its side.
Yeah.
Because it all floated and then, dropped back down. Well, in the process of once a flood does come in, it's about quickness.
Yeah.
It's like how fast somebody gets in there and takes care of the remediation. So
that's a lot.
It's a lot of water.
It is a lot of water.
Yeah. So calling a dry out company, there's hundreds of dry out companies. You can ask your insurance carrier for recommendation on one and have that information ahead of time. If you think your house is going to flood, you might even contact one of those insurance restoration companies.
So what about taking photos before?
100%.
Thinking that was always...
Video everything in your house. There's a storm coming. Take a video and all your personal items, all of your furniture, what your house looks like before. Your garage, a lot of people forget about their garage. Matter of fact, in this flood, the homeowner had a bunch of toolboxes full of tools on the garage floor, which got about 2 feet of water in it, and they're all rusted out.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So if you just put them up on a bench or something, that wouldn't happen to those tools.
That just draws another question. What if you are in the middle of a construction? What if you are renovating something in your home and this happens? What would you suggest they do then? Because there's probably materials and things that
so if we're renovating a house and we've got construction materials, we're going to go there and move that stuff out. Yeah, we're going to pick it all up, move it off site, because we don't want our materials damaged. And then we purchased all
brand new kitchen cabinets.
Yes, exactly. And then after a flood comes in, the standard is a 24-inch flood cutout. So we went around that house. You want to go about 12 to 16 inches above the high water mark in the house. So they had about 6 inches of water, so we went 2 feet.
And when you say cut out, it's cutting like drywall?
We removed everything on the wall, all the drywall, all the cabinets,
Oh, okay.
everything from 2 foot down. So just a line going around the house.
Mm-hmm.
You could bend down and look and see all the way through all the studs and all the walls across the whole house.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So getting the carpets out, getting blowers in there to move air movers and dehumidifiers, and doing it quickly. Within 2 to 3 days, that flood water starts really smelling really bad. So you want to get that water out immediately and then start drying out the house as fast as possible. And if it's done in a timely manner, it's good. It really works well.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's left to sit for 3 or 4 or 5 days, the house just becomes full of mold, and that's really unfortunate. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why those drought companies, calling one and getting them to come out is super important. And if I was living in a flood zone, I'd have somebody I've already
I was
contacted.
gonna say a good suggestion was
Yes, yeah. So
Yeah.
take away anything from this is pre-call, maybe reserve a drought company for your house if you're pretty sure you're going to get flooded,
proactive.
so that they're there on the spot, because it's the quickness of being out there and getting the job done. So that would be our tip of the day, or of the season, is if you're in a flood zone and you've got a storm coming and they're telling you you're going to have a significant storm surge, I would call a drought company. There's lots of good ones. You can get some recommendations maybe from your insurance carrier, and maybe just reserve them and say, hey, I'm probably going to have a flood. I'd like to get on your list.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we would like it if you would to like and subscribe to our channel, and go to TampaKitchenandBath.com for any additional information.